Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Lessons Learned, the dumbest thing I've ever done with money. I'm Suzanne, your head coach at Grace Financial Coaching, and we are lucky enough today to have Steve Leskovec with us. He is a good friend of mine, first person I saw when I walked into that coaching conference back in September and gave him a big hug and said, "Hey, Steve, what's going on?" So he's joining us today.
Hello.
Steve is
Happy to be here.
Steve is also a financial coach, but let me give you a little bit background on Steve. He's the owner and founder of Western Reserve Consulting. Steve also recently completed writing a curriculum to teach late high school students about college and life skills. On top of that, Steve has a background in the medical field and has been a registered nurse since 1989, most recently teaching in a cardiology department. Steve is also a residential real estate investor, and I am exhausted just from reading all of those things, Steve.
I was told when I got married that I will not be able to sit on my rear and watch TV all day, or my wife would get ticked off at me in the extreme. And I'm keeping it nice and clean language here. And I looked at her and said, "Not a problem."
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good morning,
One of our
Laura.
friends, Laura, is joining us. Hi, Laura. Good morning. So, Steve, obviously, you and I know each other through the financial coaching world. So tell me a little bit about Western Reserve Consulting and that part of your very busy life.
Yep. So Western Reserve Education and Consulting, I formed that back in the beginning of 19. And the goal of that was to kind of form a little protective shell for my financial coaching business. But in addition to that, I also had this desire to write this curriculum, which is also copyrighted under that company. And I have had a chance to public speak to a bunch of actuaries about some healthcare related stuff. There's healthcare actuaries and, clinics and in some sort of clinical type fashion information. So I kind of wanted to get something that would all encompass educating and putting wellness out there in some format. Since I haven't done bedside care as a nurse since 2018. 2015. I haven't been bedside. I'm still working in developing wellness in people through the financial coaching, through the life skills teaching, through education.
Right. And that medical background never really goes away, obviously, after all those years. So
I still got people calling me, "Hey, here's my symptoms. Am I going to die?" Just call me WebMD.
Web Steve MD.
Yeah, Steve, that's right. Doogie Howser.
That's great. So give me a little bit more flavor about the life skills thing, because as the millennials coined, most people will call it adulting.
Yeah.
So what do you teach about adulting to these late high school students?
Actually, adulting was one of the titles, one of the working titles I had. I ended up getting rid of it, but it was one of the working titles. That's exactly what it is. So it's a 32 module course.
Wow.
Divided into 5 separate classes. It could be taught over a full semester. It could each of the 5 classes could be taught as a unit study. And you've got a financial class, a business and education class, how to interview, how to do a resume, how to do a cover letter, how to act at a work party, how to find and pay for school. I've got one on interpersonal relationships, which goes everywhere from how to not offend or be offended, to bullying, to relationships and dating, to reading body language. I've got a class on personal care, because we know 21-year-old boys don't shower. And yes, I'm speaking from experience with my son. Hello, David, if you're watching. And one on basic home care skills, cooking, laundry, cleaning, and some basic maintenance, such as, hey, did you know that your furnace has a filter you should change once in a while?
Wow.
So it could be taught as a one-off class, each of the 32 modules, or as a unit study, each of the classes, or as an entire semester class. It's got activities in there for the teachers to do grading. There are handouts for the students. There is a study guide, one with and one without answers for the teacher and the students, which could actually be used as a test. So any teachers out there, any homeschoolers, anybody who's dealing with young adults, and actually, this course could be effective for anyone late high school all the way through college.
Sure. Absolutely.
So please reach out. We've got the websites not quite up and running yet. The book is in cover design, so we are this close to printing. This close.
That's awesome.
It's only been a year and 3 months since I started the publishing process. But they're close. But as soon as we get that there, I'll put the link, give you the link, Suzanne, to the website so people can keep checking back on that. And if you want to put my business email in the comments of the video, they can reach out to me personally. Happy to.
Yep, your email's already in there, and once we have the link, we will definitely add that to the show notes. So
thank you much.
That's great, Steve. I mean, that is it's so important, and I don't know when that stuff stopped getting passed down or taught. So I really appreciate you kind of bridging that gap that's formed over the last 25 years, 20 years.
Well, I graduated high school in 1985, and and even back then, home ec was an elective. Prior to that, it was required to education in schools.
Oh.
But even back when in 85, when I graduated high school, early 80s, it was an elective. I could take a typing class, I could take home ec, but and traditionally the girls took the class because the guys went out and worked. Well, that's not the truth anymore. We got both men and women who are living at home and taking care of the home as well as going out and working.
Right.
So you've got a huge, it's huge dichotomy of people doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been locking for 30 years at least, 30 plus years. So
yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize even in 1985 it would have been an elective. I definitely would have thought it was actually required for me.
That's good.
And I graduated several years after that, but it was just a handful. But it was not an elective for us. We all had to take, I think we all had to take like home ec 101 type thing. And then the other stuff like sewing and cooking and stuff like that, you could add on as electives, but we all had to take it. So that's definitely lacking, obviously, in the education system.
It is tremendously, and parents didn't learn it. My age parents. So passing some of this stuff on to their kids, a lot of people have trouble even teaching their own children.
Right.
A lot of people don't have that innate skill.
Yeah.
Or the kids are like, I don't care. Or it's easier for me just to do it. I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to do it and not make my kid do it. It takes effort.
Yep. Get it over with. Right. Exactly. So, Steve, let's go back to money for a little bit. I created this show to help people realize we all make financial mistakes, and you can take the first step by learning from the experience of others.
Yes.
So, Steve, you and I have both done dumb things with money, but what would be the dumbest thing you've said that you've ever done with money?
I got married and had kids.
Oh!
All right. Yeah, that's the catch line. But let me qualify it. I got married and had children without being on the same page with my first wife. And that's what it boils down to, Suzanne.
Yeah.
Even when we were dating, I had racked up debt. Man, I had an I love debt score of 803 at one point.
Wow.
It was beautiful, I thought, at that point. It was glorious, I thought, at that point. I'm like, my first wife said to me, I didn't marry you for your money. I married you for your credit. So, but even back then, I had debt, and I didn't know how to manage money. And she was good at math, and she was a little disciplined. I said, here's my checkbook. Here's my bills. You take care of it.
Oh.
So we had gotten engaged, and I just turned it over to her, and I didn't pay any attention to it. As we got married and went through life, she managed the checkbook. She managed the bills. I went to work and I gave her my check.
Right. And just to clarify, there's always a dichotomy in a marriage relationship where someone is more of a nerd and someone is more of a free spirit. But this was more of like Steve didn't know what was going on.
I didn't care either.
There you go.
I didn't know. I didn't care.
Yeah.
And then I come to find out towards the end of the marriage, and we were married for about 14 years. Towards the end of the marriage, I came to find out that she didn't know what she was doing either. We had nothing. We had no emergency fund. We had minimal investment. All right. We had 3 kids, and everyone who has kids knows that they're a suck money and life out of you. They suck it. So, the reason I had 3 kids is there's 3 chances someone will wipe my butt when I'm too old to do it.
There you go. You got a better shot.
It's an investment. But she said to me I said to her one day, so what's for dinner? Because that was her thing. She was a stay-at-home mom. She did the cooking. I said, what's for dinner? She says, I don't feel like cooking. Let's go out. And I knew money was a little tight at that point. I said, well, I'll cook. You know, what do you want? I'll do the cooking. Nah, I'd rather go out to eat. All right. Well, you manage checkbook. Do we have the money? Yeah, we got it. We're good. So to Cracker Barrel, we all went. The very next day, and we did well. I mean, kids were small enough. We got like 3 meals total, and that fed the 5 of us. So,
Sure.
we were frugal with that. But the next day I got in the mail the gas bill, which was 3 months past due. So we didn't know how to manage money.
So we didn't have the money for Cracker Barrel the night before.
No. Needless to say, that put a huge amount of stress on the marriage.
Right.
Obviously,
Absolutely.
money was huge. And we all know, we've all seen the statistics. Most divorces occur because of money issues.
Yep, exactly.
We've all, this is common knowledge. This is, nothing I had to look up today or anything. We all know that. And
Right.
that was one of the factors in our divorce.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so common these days. It's one of the there's plenty of premarital counseling out there, right? There's plenty of studies. There's plenty of courses. There's self-help. You can do it yourself. You can go to a priest if you're Catholic. You can go to your pastor if you're in a Christian church. You can go to your rabbi if you're in a temple. And you can do all that stuff. But let me tell you, man, sending someone through Financial Peace University before they get married it's just invaluable, because 2 things are going to happen at the end of that. And let me know if you agree with this. They're going to be on the same page. They're going to be motivated. They're going to realize they need joint goals, and it's going to be great. Or you're going to get through those 9 classes and you're going to start to doubt your decision. And
you're going to find out, this is not a compatible thing. We can't do this.
And hopefully it will prevent you from moving forward into a marriage and then just rolling over into a divorce.
Yep. Well, I'm remarried to a boy, and you've met my wife. You know that I married way above my pay grade. I married way above my pay grade. Phenomenal woman. But as we were engaged in the process, and before we got married and after we got married, we actually started and we built a house here in Ohio, which is where I'm from, while we were living in PA. So once a month, we drive the 5.5 hours from PA to Ohio to check on the progress and do our picking of the granite and picking of the blah, blah, blah. And we had talked before, and that was a phenomenal opportunity. I had an old set of the Dave Ramsey FPU CDs or DVDs.
Yep.
So I popped them in the car, and we'd listen to those on the way back and forth. And that gave us phenomenal conversation opportunity. Now, there are a few things that my wife is not fully on board with the Ramsey stuff. All right. I've got a BEWI life insurance policy.
Okay.
You know what that is?
No.
I have a whole life insurance policy, which is a big Dave no.
Yes.
Because Ellen wants it.
Yeah.
She wanted that safe savings venue, and the insurance policy covered it. We can afford it. So because Ellen wants it, one thing I found out is not only being on the same page is not, the baby steps are not gospel.
Right.
They're a good philosophy, and we follow the basic philosophy behind them. But there are things that Ellen was not willing to move on. And my coaching business and looking at some of the Facebook pages we've got, I see people saying, my husband's or my wife's not on board with this, and he wants this and he wants that. And my counsel to them is, you got to give and take. You got to meet people where they are. You're going to have to compromise on some of these things.
Absolutely. Right.
And we compromised on it. I got my whole life policy because Ellen wants it, and we can afford it. And that's okay.
Right.
That's
One thing you wouldn't be able to compromise would be, if Ellen's out there using credit cards every 5 minutes, and then not paying attention to them or what, there's certain things you're not gonna be able to compromise on, right? Like you said, the fundamentals,
You got
baby
it.
steps. But when it comes to that ancillary stuff, I mean, marriage is still a compromise, guys. You've got to have that give and take. So even if you're not, we don't want you to be, as Dave refers to it, right? We don't want you to be Dave-ish to the point where you're not making progress.
Yep.
But if you're Dave-ish on one piece, like, hey, Dave, we hold a whole life policy, a whole life insurance policy, because it makes my wife sleep better at night. And we're good. We can afford it. I really don't think Dave's going to begrudge you that at all. Next time we see him, you can ask him.
Yeah, he's not going to slap me upside the head for that. We're on steps 4 and 6. I eliminate 5 because we're not paying for college for anybody. And if we do, I got one daughter who's thinking about going to community college for a little bit. We can cash flow it. So we're on steps 4 and 6, and we're doing okay with that.
That's awesome.
One of the
Steve, if you could go back, what would you change regarding the first marriage?
I wouldn't have married this woman. I'll guarantee. I mean, for multiple reasons. But let's Steve talking. Take 2. What I would have done with the first marriage is what I did with my second marriage. We talked. Okay. We listened to FPU. We worked through. We came to our level understanding. We actually even divided up the work. Now, my wife is the nerd, and I am the free spirit. I'm a financial coach. I love working with people. I love teaching them their budget. I absolutely hate coming to our budget meeting. Hate it. I hate it. And in case you didn't hear me, hate it. Okay. I don't like doing ours. I love telling people what to do and how they should do their own. I don't like doing ours.
That's amazing.
What I do is, though, I manage the bills as they come in. So we get the gas bill in, I'll open the mail and I'll pay it that day or the next day and take care of that. I deal with the day-to-day movement of the money.
Right.
At the end of the month, Ellen will go and download all the bank transactions and put them into a spreadsheet. She's an actuary, so we don't use every dollar. We use a spreadsheet.
We use Ellen dollar.
We use a thing. And she puts everything in there, and she's got it all programmed out, so it says how much we were over, how much we were under here, blah blah blah. It's a really nice spreadsheet. Anybody wants it, let me know. I've got a couple clients that actually want it and actually actively use it. They like it a lot.
Nice.
I might start selling that.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, yeah. But she downloads all the transactions and puts them in there, so she knows exactly what's happened through the month. So we're both on board. We both know what's going on with our money. Right. And we sit and we talk. Well, we got a bonus check come in. All right. How much of this is going to go? How much do we need to set aside for taxes? How much are we going to set aside for new pots and pans that I want? What are we going to do with this, with the money? What are we going to do with this? We've got this expense coming up. We need to have this much in a fund because we know, we know a kid's going to have an issue. My 24-year-old daughter is pregnant. She is still on our insurance. We still have not hit our deductible. So we know that that's going to be chewed up pretty quick this year. So,
hey, at least it's the beginning of the year, right? You can get it out of the way.
That's right. That's right. So we know this stuff's coming up. So we've been on the same page. We've given ourselves jobs to do, and we pretty much set ourselves a limit of purchase.
Okay.
Before we need to talk to the other person. And that threshold for us is any purchase over $100. Talk to the other person.
Got it.
All right. Now we do our own pocket money, and we can save up our pocket money and use that without being accountable to the other person or to the budget for buying. I could save up my money and buy the pots and pans myself out of my pocket money if I wanted to. We don't monitor that as tightly.
Sure.
We're underneath our pocket money threshold. I don't take the extra dollars and hold on to it. It just goes back into the general fund, and we together work on, all right, how much of the pots and pans going to be? The set I want is going to be $800. So, all right, let's budget for that this month. We've got this much put aside from last month left over. Yeah, we can do that.
Right. Yeah. So you guys might, obviously, she's the nerd, you're the free spirit. You hate the budget committee meetings, but you guys are still making it work.
We still do it. Yeah.
Right. That's the bottom line. There is a way to make this work. There is a way to find these compromises. There is a way to share these responsibilities that's not going to crush the soul of the person who hates dealing with money.
And I tell people, and I relate this story to my clients. And I've got some clients that are, she is the nerd, he is the free spirit, and he is, yeah, okay, looks fine, whatever you want, sure, all right, makes sense, sure. And I say, no,
Right.
you, Bob, must change something on that budget. And you, Mary, when you give him the budget, shush.
Right. Right.
Just let him look at it and absorb it and ask you questions.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Don't start justifying everything right away.
You've got stuff. Yeah, you've got stuff to say. Say it after he's looked at it, because you've been looking at it. He needs to get up to speed to what's on that paper.
Right.
So I put those things out there. You've got to do this.
Yeah.
And I know, Bob, you don't want to do this. I know it sucks because I hate doing it too. But number one, and you know, as financial coaches, you know, we're marriage counselors too, to a degree.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Number one, Bob, you change something, you look at this and you ask a question about it. She knows you're vested into it. You're involved. You are part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives her peace of mind.
Right. And even if you change one thing and then we have a conversation about it and we change it back, there was still that input. There was still that, hey, I think this looks a little too high or this looks a little too low. Well, here's my reasoning behind putting that number in.
There's
and so we can still have that conversation. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. All right. So then let's put that one back. I'm in agreement. But we've had that back and forth, that conversation about that one section of the budget that might have looked a little off. And now we know why. Groceries are particularly high. Gas is particularly high, whatever it is that month. So Steve, your own personal experience, there's a lot of people out there who are going to get a lot out of this, because I am previously divorced as well too, so I get where you're coming from, and it is it's a lot of 2020, and I really appreciate you being open and honest with our audience today about, you know, this is what I would do differently. There was other mistakes in my life besides the money stuff, but
that was a big one. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, great. So my kids, divorced. It's my time to have the kids. I pick them up from school. I bring them home and we do the homework, blah, blah, blah. I can't tell you how many times I hear my kids say, and they still say it, Dad, you need to go buy whatever. Dad, can we get ice cream? Dad, good dad. What am I, a money tree? Dad. And I had it up to here.
Yeah.
One day, they were mid-teens, all three of them. One day, I brought them home, and one at a time, I brought my oldest in, and I said, you know how you just asked me to go buy this whatever for you? Yeah. Can we do that? I'm like, come here. I laid out all my bills and my paycheck on the kitchen table. Now, I know this is scary for a lot of parents. They don't share this information with their children. I had no clue what my dad's income is. I just knew we had no money growing up.
Right.
All right. My mom would take us to my grandfather's real estate office, and she would have me walking in going, oh, Grandpa, I'm so hungry. And he'd give us $5 to go to McDonald's. You know, he knew what was going on. He just loved doing it. And Mom loved making me the brunt of the joke. But I pulled out my paycheck, and a nurse's salary doesn't stink.
Right. And
I showed her, this is my salary. And she looked at me and says, wow, we're rich. To a 15-year-old,
right.
You know, making, you know, I was making at that point 40 some an hour.
Right.
And that's a lot of money. Yeah. That's a lot of money to somebody not making $40. That's a lot of money.
Right.
And then I said, okay, let me show you something. And I started going through, this is what taxes go. So this is how, when I took out a calculator, this is how much I have left. And she goes, well, it's not too bad. Yeah, this is how much I pay your mother in child support. Oh. Well, we still have money. Took out healthcare and all that. I said, okay, well, here's what I've got to work with for the month now. Right. This is what, after taxes, child support, and medical insurance, all that's taken out. This is what I got. That's still not too bad, Dad. I said, yeah, I know. So here's what I pay in the mortgage. Let's subtract that.
Ooh.
Here's what I pay for gas. Here's what I pay for electric. Here's what I pay for water. Here's blah, 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 blah. And by the way, that's what I have left. And I haven't even counted in gasoline for the car, food, and all the stuff, all the crap kids keep asking me for.
Right. All the fluctuating costs. Yeah.
And her response to me at that point was, "Holy crap, Dad, we're broke." I'm like, yeah.
Oh man.
They stopped asking for stuff. They got it. So do that with your kids.
Yes, I know.
Share your finances with their kids. Number one, they'll stop bugging you for crap. Number two, they'll start being aware of how money works. This is a phenomenal opportunity to teach kids so that they don't go through the crap we all have gone through.
Right. Exactly. It is. My parents didn't talk to me about anything. I had no idea, what stuff cost growing up. I just knew that I was supposed to save money, but I didn't know what I was saving the money for, or I didn't know how much I was supposed to save. So,
or how.
Right. Or how. Well, they showed me how to. All right, hold on, Steve. We're gonna go back to the 80s. I got one of those little passbooks at the bank.
I remember those. It looked like a passport. It looked like a passport.
It literally in my head, it looks exactly like my passport that I have today. Except in there, they would stick it in the little machine. It would go, and it would pop out. It would tell me how much money I had in my little passbook account when I was 12 years old, or however old I was when we started it. But just doing that doesn't necessarily give your kids the ability to wrap their mind around what stuff costs. And what it means to say, "Hey, Dad, can we go to Cracker Barrel for the 8th time in the month this month?"
And when your kids get old enough, and you'll know when your kids are old enough.
And Laura makes a great point.
Involve them.
Literally just she took the words right out of your mouth, Steve. Share age-appropriate information with the children.
I see it now.
There you go. Yeah.
And you'll know when your kids are old enough to sit in on the budget meeting. All right. And now, of course, you've got to threaten them with bodily harm and keep them silent because you don't want your information shared with everybody else. And that's okay. They're our kids.
You're totally allowed to do that.
You know what I'm going to do with this pen if you share this with anybody?
Oh, man. Steve, this has been really informative. I mean, you started off with the joke of my biggest mistake was getting married and have kids, but there are people out there who feel that way. And I really hope everybody watching gets out of this what I got out of it today, because it's not that we regret necessarily the marriage or the kids themselves personally.
Yeah, sometimes
it's what we didn't do with those relationships when we could have done it.
And had we done these things, our regrets may not be there.
Exactly. Oh, love it, Steve. Well, thank you again for being so open and honest with everybody today. I'm going to have there's a bunch of notes in the show notes on YouTube. Steve's email address, shoot him an email, ask him for that expensive spreadsheet. I think he's charging $100 a pop now.
No, anybody on here, you've Western Reserve Consulting at gmail.com. Reach out, email me that you'd want a copy. I'm happy to send you a copy of it.
All right, Steve. It was great to talk to you guys. I saw a bunch of people jump in late, so check out the YouTube channel for the replay and join us next week for another episode of Lessons Learned, the dumbest thing I've ever done with money. Thanks again, Steve.